That is the kind of stuff that's that happening tonight. I always wondered, tonight in the program we have a guy who's going to come on and talk about leadership. And when I was reading his book, I was wondering, could I leadership my way into being the ghost whisperer? If you see ghosts, call me. Wait a minute, don't. Actually, speaking of leadership, it is one of the hardest things to try to bring into your life. Some people say they're natural-born leaders, and when they walk around saying they're natural-born leaders, if you're not one of those people, you start to wonder, can you even learn how to do it? If you're not born with it, do you have what it takes to become a great leader? We are going to get into that tonight. He's a best-selling author. He's also a consultant for major companies. His name is Robin Sharma. There he is on his way into the studio. We'll find out. Well, that's Robin on the left. That's Chris on the right. He works on the hour. Let's set this up.
Okay, George, when you think of great leaders, you might think of someone like this guy.
But we shall never cease to persevere against them.
Or in today's world, you might think of him.
Yes, we can.
Or her.
I'm Oprah Winfrey.
Maybe even him.
But I'm the decider.
Okay, the decider? Debatable. Anyway, if you ask Robin Sharma, you don't need a big name or title to be a real leader. Robin is one of the most popular life coaches / motivational authors around. He started as a lawyer, but like a lot of lawyers, hated it. So started writing books, and his second was called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Robin self-published that one, caught the eye of a publisher, and bam, hello best-selling author. Not to mention leadership consultant extraordinaire.
First of all, I want you to give yourselves an incredibly loud, passionate, Free Life International standing ovation for everything that you're doing.
Robin's worked for companies like General Electric, Nike, and Microsoft. And along the way, he's written a whack of books. His latest is called The Leader Who Had No Title. And in it, he argues leaders don't have to be famous. They just need to be great people who can drive positive change, build strong relationships, and see turbulent times as an opportunity to grow.
Everybody, please welcome Robin Sharma. How are you?
Great.
Good. The thing is, this is actually, I mean, the idea of leadership is one of, I think, the single most talked about things between somebody and themselves. Right. Because it really is about asserting yourself, finding your place, who you are, identity in life. And I'm curious as to how you got to this place. Like, how did you get to be the guy that thought, I think this is where I'm going?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I started from very humble beginnings. I grew up in Port Hawkesbury, Nova Scotia, a town of about 2,000 people. And I had no intentions of ever ending up doing this. Wonderful parents. I became a lawyer. Became a lawyer for all the wrong reasons. In many ways, I became
money and cocaine and girls.
Yeah, two of those things. But George, it was the last thing I expected. I became a lawyer because I wanted to please the world around me. So I became very successful in many ways, and yet I would go to work every day and I was completely empty, unfulfilled. I had all the things I was supposed to do to be successful, and just tremendously unfulfilled. So what I did was I pulled back from the noise, and I went through a period of time where I rethought my life. I asked myself, what makes greatness? What makes a great leader? What's life all about? Why are we here? If I look at the best of the best, whether the athletes or the Picassos, what are the few things that allow them to shine genius into the world?
It's an interesting conversation to have, because you mentioned the questions you asked. Lots of people ask those questions. When you looked at the common thread between the athletes, the Picassos and all that, I find that a lot of people think it's the type A personalities that you require, but it never seems to be just that. There's got to be something. What did you find?
I talk a lot about it in The Leader Who Had No Title. Basically, genius is not something you're born into. Genius is built. I mean, if you look at Picasso, Picasso would leave his dinner hour, leave the wine, leave the food, and basically say, I got to go back and paint. Ernest Hemingway would write even if he didn't feel like writing. Steve Nash, great superstar. He says, I didn't have the physical abilities as a lot of the people that I was playing against. I had to be smarter, and I had to practice other people.
You talked about how it starts with passion and love, and everybody you talked about, the Picassos, the Steve Nashes, it's hard work that comes out of passion. Right. For many people, they just simply don't love their jobs, man. Right. So I think it's backwards. I think it's guidance counselors and your parents who make you get into lines of work that you despise because they talk so much about, you got to have a backup, you got to find a plan, you got to build your life, whatever. So you can't become a good leader if you just don't love what you do.
One of the key things to the book is this: few things feel as good as the pride you feel on a job brilliantly done. Mm-hmm. So one of the things you can remember, whether you're driving a cab, working in a restaurant, teaching, do it to the absolute best of your ability, and be so good at it that people can't take their eyes off of you.
Is there a first step? Is there a first step?
The first step is, there's a line in the book which is shift from being a victim to showing a leader. And a lot of people, what they're doing is they're going through life and they're saying, I can't be great, I can't lead in my work, I can't be a great human being because of my background, because I don't have a title, because I'm not smart enough. You change your life and you step into leadership the moment you look in the mirror and say, you know what, I have the power to change, and you start doing something about it.
The quickest way to sort of set the tone for what this book's going to be, it opens with, in a gentle way you can shake the world, a Gandhi quote. In a gentle way. That's key to this, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think Margaret Mead, the last line in the book, to give it all away in many ways, but she said, you know what she said? She said, never doubt the fact that a small group of committed people can change the world. And I think the lead without a title concept is so important for organizations, but what would communities look like? I mean, Mother Teresa said it beautifully. She said, if everyone would only sweep their own doorstep, the whole world would be clean. Lead without a title. I mean, don't blame other people, don't play victim, step up, be your best work, and also walk out in the world and make a difference. And the final thing I talk about is the importance of ethics. We're seeing this now with sports stars, with a lot of CEOs who have lost face. You know, it took them 20 years to build a great brand or a great reputation. They lost it in 20 seconds. There's not one person who can't do the things I talk about in the book, who can't lift up their professional life, their personal life, and ultimately their legacy to a whole new level, but most of us don't believe it.
Well, because most of the times those in positions to set an example set a poor one. That's what it is, right? So like most people say, who blazed the trail before me? I'm going down that road. And they look at some of these CEOs who sort of set up these companies and go, that's just the way to do it. That's why so many have fell.
And that's true, and there's a lot of amazing heroes. I think Warren Buffett, you know, I mean, he is remarkable. He amasses this incredible fortune, then he gives away $60 billion. You know, I mean, he's one of the amazing heroes. I look at Bono. He's taking the platform of what he achieved as a world-class musician. I know you love music. I mean, he took what he achieved in music, and now he's trying to change the world. And that might sound a little pie in the sky, and you might say, well, what are we going to do now? Hold hands and sing Kumbaya? But I think ultimately...
You're better than punching people.
You know what? I think if you look at the best businesses in the world, Ted Turner said it really well. He said, he who serves the best profits the most. How do you build a great business that actually makes a ton of money? You birth genius level value out into the marketplace, and you help as many people as possible.
But how much of it is just saying, like, I hear what Ted Turner set the stage for what became part of the demise of media in America. So how much of it is just these guys spewing bullshit at the end of their run? You know, like they have, you know, Bono's a different example. Musicians, artists, they kind of do their thing and they build it. But a lot of these business people, they see the light way at the end. After, you know, we had Richard Branson on, and you know, and we're fans of Richard. He's done tons for the environment.
Sure.
But Richard admitted he makes all his money in dirty businesses. You're talking about, you know, your air and rail and mining, like for cell phone. So they make lots of money doing things that don't jive with, and then all the other stuff that comes after the philanthropy seems to be penance.
Well,
not for all of them, but for a lot of them.
But there's a lot of great businesses that are,
sure.
I mean, and Richard Branson's someone I admire as well.
He's amazing.
But you look at, he is amazing, but he's actually doing a lot of amazing things. He treats people very well. He has passion. He is committed to excellence. A lot of things I talk about.
And just even for yourself, I mean, I think one of the things I like about what you do is that you get a chance to look in the whites of people's eyes and see them have realizations.
Right.
Be a part of what leads to somebody's epiphany.
Absolutely.
That must be a real treat for you, just to be able to get inside someone's head and see a moment of clarity start, you know, those clouds break and you're there for it.
I just came off a tour. I was in the UK, London, Kuwait, Jordan. When I was in London, I faced a pretty challenging audience. And I got off that platform, and I just, you know, I believe that I want to get on that platform and I want to sell the message. You need no title to be a leader. I want people to believe that they can go back to work, even if they work in the mailroom, they can shine, they can innovate, they can make a difference. And I faced a really tough audience, and I went back to my hotel room, and there's a lot of airplanes in my life, and I've been doing this for close to 15 years, and I got discouraged. And then I realized the very nature of leadership means you're going to attract ridicule and you're going to attract resistance. And actually, and I'm not saying I'm so special, but the more you dream, the more you believe in a message, the more you get out there and disrupt the status quo, which the status quo is leadership is the guy or the woman at the top of an organization. So the more resistance I face, the more I realize I need to roll up my sleeves and go to the places where I'm not being accepted or people don't believe this as much as they do perhaps in North America.
And no better place in the world to do it than the UK, because that's punk rock, baby. That's the way to do it, right?
Wow, that's...
Set fires and pick fights.
That is true, huh? Total disruption, right? But for a cause. And you talk about passion and punk rock, you talk about passion, visceral belief in what they were doing, right?
Sure, man. Sometimes the bad buildings need to come down. Good to see you, man.
Pleasure to meet you.
Appreciate that. Thank you a lot. So the book, make sure you check it out. It's called The Leader Who Had No Title. We'll be right back.